All right, greetings everyone. My name is Matt Chemworth. I'm the director of the Veterans Affairs Office here at Nova Southeastern, specifically the Veterans Resource Center. We make sure that we provide not only our veterans, but our military affiliated students, all of the services and resources available to them so that they can succeed, not only at NSU, but also in their transition from the military and into the civilian world where they're going to spend probably the rest of their lives. So we've developed something called a speaker series to where we bring in not only people at NSU, but in the community as well to come together and just provide information or just topics of interest to our veterans and our community. And today is one of our sessions that we are recording and we'll be putting on YouTube later for reference for our participants that were not able to join us today. Today, our guest is Max. He is from the Miami VA, and I'll let him introduce himself, but he's been a great help to NSU pretty much since I entered the role about a year and a half ago. Comes to our campus often and provides as many resources to our veterans as possible. He's been a great resource, so without further ado, Max, if you could introduce yourself. Max, you might be on mute right now because we're not hearing anything yet.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, there we go. Well, as I was saying, my name is Max. I'm the outreach coordinator at the Miami VA. I'm a veteran, so I retired out of the Army back in 2008. So I worked with DoD since 2008 until I moved here to the VA in Miami back in 2018. I used to do a lot of the benefits with DoD. I used to do medical boards. I used to do a lot of the disability ratings with DoD for soldiers getting out of the service. So I'm very knowledgeable on those things. Now, there is a lot of programs available for veterans. There is a lot of things that you guys can be eligible for, but the key is going out looking for those. I see that there is a lot of veterans in South Florida that they are not getting all the benefits that they are entitled to simply because they just don't want to go get it. It took me about 6 years after I got out. It took me about 6 years to get everything squared away for myself. 6 years, and then it's worth it. I know it's very frustrating at times dealing with the VA, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. Remember, if you don't do it for yourself, no one else is going to do it. Again, there is a lot of benefits that you guys might be entitled to, but it all depends on how you got out of the service, or what kind of disability compensation you have, or what is it that you're trying to achieve. It varies, but you will not get the answer unless you go out and start looking for that. Now, keep in mind that, and this is coming from a veteran, not a VA employee. I heard from a lot of veterans that they get frustrated because they come by the VA, they talk to an individual, and then that individual doesn't have the right answer, and they end up sending them somewhere else, and at the end of the day, they still don't have an answer. Keep in mind that every federal installation, there's always going to be those one or two that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but eventually you are going to be talking to the right people if you keep asking, and it's going to make a difference. But now, I don't know if you guys have any questions or about benefits. I don't know if you guys are unsure about anything. Just let me know.
Well, I guess I want to kick off first with the question based on what you had just kind of started disclosing, that the barriers for our veterans to actually go and receive the benefits that they're entitled to, specifically compensation and disability benefits. What kind of timeline are we currently looking at for somebody that might want to start a process. They had just discharged from the military and they want to make sure that they get on the VA's radar, get their VA healthcare card, and start that process. What does that look like currently?
Okay, so you get out of the service, and the first stop has to be the VA. You need to enroll with the VA for two reasons. One is that you need to get the health care, okay? You need to get that. Whether you have your own health insurance or not, you can always keep the VA at least as your secondary. That's one of the reasons. The second reason is that by you enrolling with the VA, doing your physical, you are already in the VA's radar. So therefore, you build in medical evidence, you build in medical records. So if you decide to submit claims within the next 5-6 months after you get out or do additional claims, it's always best to have medical evidence within the VA system. Because, and this is something that I keep telling every veteran that I talk to. There's a lot of them that come, they submit a claim for conditions that happen in the service, but they end up getting denied. And that is simply because they left the service back, let's say, about 10 years ago. And they never came by the VA. They never did anything to take care of those conditions. And I don't know where they show up one day by the VA trying to claim that condition. Yes, it did happen when that veteran was in service. It is on his medical records, but it's obvious that it's not a chronic condition because you haven't sought any assistance, medical assistance, in the last 10 years. So that's why it is really important for anybody to do at least one physical a year, which is required by the VA. Do one physical a year, and with that, you're good to go. Not only you're satisfying, you're keeping in good standings with the VA, but also you're building medical evidence, just in case you decide to submit any additional claims later on. Now, I know that many of you have, like myself, have their own health insurance, which is fine. So if you get most of your care with your private physician or outside of the VA, it's fine. But make sure that you get those copies. Make sure you get a copy of those medical records and bring those to the VA at least once a year so they can scan those and they can put it on your file. That way, at least we know, the VA knows that you are doing your piece with taking care of your conditions. Now, you get out of the service, let's say within the next 2 months you are scheduled for your initial physical with the VA. Now, if you want to submit a claim, things have gotten way better lately, way better, because when I got out back in 2008, it took a year after I submitted my claims for the server's disability rating to get back with me. It took a year. Now, when I was in DOD back in 2016, the timelines went down to 7 months. Now it's getting even better. It's within 5 months. That's what I've seen, that everybody's getting their disability rating after you submit a claim. So things are getting better. The good thing about doing this is that, as you know, if you submit a claim and it takes 5 months for that claim to be processed, you're still going to be getting back pay. So, but I don't know if that answers your question, Matt.
No, that absolutely nailed it in a lot of different ways, especially when you first get out of the military, making that your first stop to enroll with the VA. Can you just quickly touch on how to do that? I'm sure it's online. Can veterans also just walk into a VA hospital and enroll there as well?
There is several ways that you can enroll with the VA. The first one is obviously online. You can do it over the phone. You can stop by the VA and do your enrollment, which is filling up a form, an application, in other words. There are several ways. But now, what I recommend everybody is that everybody has different goals, okay? Everybody is different. So many of the veterans that I see on a daily basis, they do really want to enroll. simply because they're getting ready to submit claims. Okay, so and they're really not sure how to do those claims, how to go by doing those. Now, if you're one of those that is going to be doing claims for the first time, my personal recommendation to you all is that don't do it over the phone. Don't do the claims online. Don't do it like that because it can get confusing. It's always best to do it with someone face to face, at least the first time, so you know how it goes. Because by doing it with someone face to face, at least you know that it's been done, because you're going to get a receipt saying that those claims were submitted. Now, you do it online, and that happened to me before. I'm not saying because I read it, because it happened to me. You submit the claim online, and you don't even know if it went through or not. And then you call the VA to find out if they got your claim. They cannot give you an answer because they keep saying that it's going to take another 15 to 20 days for the system to refresh. So my advice to everybody, just at least the first time, do it on a face-to-face with one of the claims officers at the VA. As a matter of fact, what you can do is you get enrolled, and you can get scheduled for your initial physical with the VA, and on the same day you can get ready to submit your claims, and you can process your ID card all in the same day, so you don't have to worry about nothing else for another year. That's something that I think everybody's gotta take care of their health. I know everybody keeps saying, well, I gotta work, I gotta go to school, but it's only once a year that you gotta take care of this, and everybody needs to do it.
Mm-hmm. Are people currently able to go and register? Everything going on with COVID currently?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Are people able to register right now with everything going on with COVID?
You cannot stop by the VA unless you have an appointment. So therefore, registration or face-to-face at the VA is not going to happen. So you got other tools, at least for now, which is doing it online, or in the Miami area, in Broward area, you can call me, shoot me an email, and I can register everybody, whoever needs to get registered.
Excellent. Just for a quick reference for anybody listening, today's date is June 18th. So if you're listening to this in September or October, some of that might have changed, just thinking about posting this online. But sorry, Max, to cut you off. Jump back in.
No, that's fine. Let me see what I was going to say. I think everybody needs to register. And there's a story that I keep telling everybody. Whenever I used to have like job fairs or events on the field, there is one story that I always used to tell everybody. There was a lady, about a year and a half ago, when I initially came to the VA. There was a lady, about an 80-year-old lady, that was walking around the VA trying to do something. No one really knew what she was doing, or because she had the language barrier. So somehow she ended up coming to me. What it was is that her husband, a Korean vet, was in a clinic down in Miami, and he was running out of money. So what they were trying to do is she was trying to get him registered with the VA, so the VA can pick up some of the remaining tab. And I kept thinking, why are you gonna wait until something happens to register with the VA? The lady didn't even have a clue what a DD-214 was. Didn't have a clue about a lot of things here. So, and the lady was really stressed up, and I kept thinking, and that's the example that I give everybody. Why you wait? The gentleman, the lady told me that they moved to Miami back in like the 60s, but they had a good job, they had a good health insurance, and then they keep saying the VA, no, we don't need the VA. But see what happened. So I see a lot of those stories a lot here at the VA.
Now, this is actually tied into a question that I received. Is there a time limit for when you can register? And on top of that, is there a time limit for any disability claims to be filed? Say you got out in 1990 and you think you have a disability that's still existing from an experience that you encountered during the Gulf War conflict.
There is no timeline. You could have served back in World War One, and you can make those claims now. The only thing that you need in order to make a claim is a copy of your medical records showing that condition, the one that you're claiming, did happen while you were in the service.
Mm-hmm.
There's the only thing that because I see on a daily basis veterans trying to claim sleep apnea, okay, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
But when you ask them, did you guys had sleep apnea when you were in the service? And is it documented on your medical records of you having? There's nothing. So you can claim anything, but it has to be on your medical records showing that condition happened when you were in the service.
So I know that there's a couple third-party organizations out there that will actually help veterans in their compensation process. I'm not super familiar with that, but it sounds like they help kind of create the application to make sure that the veteran is more prepared with the information that they're going to submit to the VA. Is this something that you encounter or would recommend to a veteran before they start the process of pursuing a disability or compensation package?
Well, the number one thing that I recommend everybody before they can actually start the process of filing claims is to have a copy of your medical records. Because without your medical records, it's really hard for you to claim anything or to prove anything. There's always ways to request those. I know that the younger vets that I got out in the last 10, 15 years, usually most of them have a copy of their medical records. But now the ones those vets that left the service back in the 80s, 90s, is more challenging. But there's always ways to request those, either online or you can fax a form to request a copy of your medical records. The only issue with that is that sometimes it takes up to 2 months for them to send you a copy of your medical records. And if you wanna file a claim, you need a copy of your medical records. You can file the intent to claim, which is not filing a claim yet. You can file an intent to claim without your medical records. Now the claim is gonna be filed completely once you get a copy of your medical records.
Excellent. And we just had another question. I think you might have answered it. If you can use medical records from a private doctor or a third party, I believe you said you could, and you should just be submitting that. Oh, I see you already responded back. Disregard.
Well, Mr. Aquicius is asking about who served over 20. There are older veterans who served over 20 years ago who did not register with the VA after their service. How do they register with the VA? Now, if you want to register with the VA, which is something that you need to do, you can always contact me, and as a matter of fact, I'll make it easy for you. Instead of you going online and doing, I'll do it for you, and it takes only about 5 minutes to get you in, because I can access all your medical records, and no, not your medical records, my bad. I can access all your military service history. I can access all of that, so I can get you registered. Now, the second question was, is it possible for them to file a claim after so long? Like I was saying before, you can file a claim anytime. Anything that happened, I don't know, 100 years ago, you can file it. The key about filing a claim is having a copy of your medical records and medical evidence showing that condition happened when you were in the service. That's all.
And now they also have reevaluations for some disabilities. Is that correct?
Reevaluations. I don't know what you mean with the reevaluations, but I don't know if what you mean is that whenever you get a condition whenever you claim a condition and you get a low disability rating, you ask for to be reevaluated. Is that what it is?
Mhm. Now, I was thinking more along the lines, I know this has happened to not only myself, but a couple of my peers, to let's say you have a shoulder injury. Several years later, they sent out a request to go and have it reevaluated to see if the percentage is at the same level or maybe higher or lower. I've only heard of this. It hasn't actually happened to me specifically, but I wanted to see if that's something that happens commonly.
Well, obviously, we're not getting young,
Yeah.
okay? In every condition that we have or any injury that happened about 10 years ago, with time, it's going to get worse. That is a fact. So if you initially had a disability rating 10 years ago for a condition, obviously it has gone worse. So all you need to do is stop by the VA and file a claim asking for an increase. But you got to show with medical evidence that that condition has gone worse over the last couple of years. And it's not only showing up one day after, one day out of you got a disability rating 10 years ago and you haven't done anything for that condition, and I don't know where you show up one day by the VA to file for an increase. The chances of that happening are really slim. That's why you gotta do your own homework. You gotta build medical records. You gotta show that that condition has gone worse over the last few years, and therefore you are requesting an increase now.
Excellent. We have a question that just came in from another participant. Do you have to file separate claims for different conditions and injuries?
No, you can file. Let me see. Within one claim, you can file different conditions. So you show up by the VA one day, and you do your physical, and then you want to submit your claims. So you stop by the claims officer or the FDVA, the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs, the ones that take your claims here at the VA. You let them know that you want to file a claim. Then that claims officer is going to be asking you what is it that you want to file. Then you can go up, I want to file my left knee, I want to do my shoulder, I want to do my back. So you're filing several conditions within the same claim. As a matter of fact, that's the best way to do it, because everything is going to be processed almost at the same time. It's best to do it like that, because if you end up submitting one thing one day and then you're back like 3 weeks later trying to submit another one, sometimes what the VA does, and I learned it myself the hard way, is that they don't give you the outcome of one claim until they finish the other one that you got pending. So if you file a claim for your knee on February the 1st, and then you show up back again by the VA on March the 1st to file another claim, maybe the one from February is done, the outcome is finished, but it's not going to be released until they complete the second claim. So it might take another month for you to wait and see what happens with the whole outcome of your claims.
That's great to know. I know at some level, I believe it's 90 or 100%, your family starts to become entitled to some benefits. What do you know about this? It's very much hearsay from anything that I've ever heard.
Now, your family directly is not going to be eligible for anything with 100%, because keep in mind that the VA is for veterans, okay? So your health care, anything that has to do with care is going to be for the veteran. Now, with 100%, you as the veteran, you have additional benefits that are going to be affecting your family as well in a good way. Let me see. If you get 100%, for one thing, let's see, school. If you get 100% here in the state of Florida, your kids can go to school once they become, once they're 18, they can go to school, to any public school in Florida for free. There's a scholarship for that. So, in other words, you are not going to be paying anything for your kid to go to college. That is if you're 100%. Now, the other benefit with 100% is that let's say you are a homeowner. You basically almost don't pay any taxes at the end of the year. That is another benefit. And you end up saving a lot of money because, I mean, if you're a homeowner, I mean, they end up taking a good bunch of money out of your mortgage simply because you don't pay any taxes. What else? I mean, small things like you don't pay for your driver's license, those type of things. But now, in regards to healthcare, with 100%, you get basically healthcare for free at the VA in any condition, and not only that, you can get dental. You can get dental as well, because if you're not 100%, you cannot get dental at the VA unless you are service connected for a dental condition. So the 100%, yeah, it can make a lot of difference in a lot of ways.
Good to know. And I got one more question before I'll kind of open it up and see if anybody else has anything. I know that when I enrolled with the VA and did all these processes, they consistently asked about a burn pit exposure. And just recently I got another email. I'm subscribed to like the VA email list that gets sent out, like their newsletters. And I re-registered for a burn pit registry. Is this something that, like, it's a little confusing to me? Are they not all tied together, or is this something completely separate from what I've already kind of disclosed as being exposed to, and just need to kind of do it again to make sure it's really out there and that the VA is aware of it?
This is what I recommend everybody when questions like this come up, or issues that some of the Marines have with water back in the remember those days. But anyway, yeah. So what I recommend everybody is that the best way to approach this is by talking to your primary care. You initial your physical, doing your yearly physical. It is something that you gotta let your provider know, your primary care manager, so they can also notate that on your medical records. If you're having issues or if you're having concerns, they're going to be notating that on your medical records. Because at this point, maybe today you're not having that many issues yet. But you never know in 10 years whether you're going to be coming up with those issues or not. At least you are documenting those on your medical records. And that is really important. That's why I keep emphasizing on everybody to do their physicals at least once a year.
And actually, one last question, because it just kind of came up. How do you change where your primary care doctor is? Say you were originally in North Carolina and now you have moved to the South Florida area.
Believe it or not, we got to re-enroll you. Even though you were enrolled in another facility, we need to enroll you because it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how the VA does their things, because at least when I was working with DOD, your medical records, if you have your medical records in, I don't know, in Fort Stewart, Georgia, you can access the same thing in Texas, at least with the Army, where I was stationed with. You can access. I mean, it's easy. You don't have to move anything, and you don't have to re-enroll anywhere. It's there. With the VA, if you were up in a different facility and you're moving to Miami, you need to stop by the VA, or you need to call me, or you need to do a form, so we can put you in within the VA, within the Miami VA system, and schedule you for initial physical.
Excellent. Good to go. So that's it from me. Does anybody else have any questions that's on the call today? You can either type them into the chat box or I guess just jump on the Zoom call.
One thing that I'm going to reemphasize on this is that it is necessary for everybody to register with the VA for care. Like I was saying at the beginning, it is going to be of a benefit to you, to every veteran, in two ways. One is that you will have health care, okay, which is really important for everybody to have at least something to fall back on. And number two is that by you registering with the VA and doing your physical, you're setting up yourself if you are going to be submitting claims later on. Because, I mean, you not having no visits, you have no medical records, it's really hard for anybody to submit a claim when you haven't done anything. So.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Quisha.
Yes.
Hi. So I do have a few questions. My first question is, what advocacy programs do you have for like women veterans or like minority veterans?
What was that again?
What advocacy programs are there for women veterans or for veterans of minority descent?
Well, I mean, first of all, for women, we have at least in Miami, we have a really nice clinic that opened up about a year ago. It's called the Women's Clinic. It's really nice, and it became popular. So that is one of the things that we offer the women veteran in the area. Minorities, I mean, there's really no real programs at the VA. The only difference, like I was saying, for women is that we have the clinic, and I'm always here at the Miami VA if you have any concerns, questions, or I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Are there any programs, like a specific program where there's like a counselor or someone that helps someone with transitioning out of the military?
You know, I know that things haven't changed that much lately, but any counseling that happens while you getting out of the service, it should have happened before you get out. Because your units, the units are the ones that are, or the bases, the military bases are the ones that are supposed to be counseling the soldier before they get out of the service. Now, at least when I got out of the service, I left the service, and in my first stop was you stop by the VA. That's what everybody does. Now, once you come by the VA, trust me, there is no real counseling on what is it that you're supposed to be doing. Unless you have a specific questions, then we can direct you where you gotta go to. But any veteran coming by the VA has to be specific and what is it that they're trying to get. I mean, there's a lot of benefits for new veterans coming in. Like if you want to see claims, we're going to direct you where the claims people are and what is it that you want to do. Now, if you want to know about education, we can direct you to where you got to go for education. Or depending on what is it that you're trying to do. Everybody is different. So what I recommend everybody is that whenever they stop by the VA, just be specific on what is it that you're trying to get. Everybody's different.
Also, does the VA offer services with job placement or resume building?
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lie to you. Veterans, there is really no assistance in that. One thing that you can take advantage of, and I don't know if you know this or not, is that you as a veteran, depending what kind of job you're looking for, if it's a federal one, you got advantages. You have the veterans preference that you can use. You can the DD-214 is a lot. I don't know if you were deployed or not, because if you were deployed, you can use that, and that's additional 5 points. Now, there is advantages of being a veteran for federal positions. But resume building, I don't know if some bases are still doing it, at least Southcom. I know the Southcom here in Miami, what they do is before the soldier gets out of the service, they go through TAPS, which means is like they show the soldiers how to do their resumes. Because keep in mind that resumes for federal positions are different. They're not like if you're applying for civilian ones. They're different because you got to do keywords. You got to be able to look at job descriptions and use those keywords. It's different. But I can always find out if there's anybody here at the VA that can assist you with job resume building. I think everybody's going to be getting my name, all my information before we are done with the conference. So you're free to give me a call, shoot me a message, and I'll try to find out if there's anybody that can assist you with that.
And just for all our veterans and participants here today, know that NSU does have that availability to help with resume building. And a project that we've been working with them on is actually translating that resume, finding how did your role in the military actually work well into the job that you want to achieve. And we're creating a lot of different variations with that. In addition, there's also other community nonprofits in the community that will help you free of charge. One that we work with frequently is United Way's Mission United. So, and they're located right here in Broward County. They have other out across Florida as well. So if you're from our Tampa campus, they're actually starting a Mission United there. There's a Mission United in Miami-Dade, and they're using that framework to kind of spread across the U.S. to provide some of those services to our veterans that might not be going into education right after they discharge, and still provide services for resume building, interview skills, and just trying to find jobs that are out in the market.
One thing that as a veteran you got to take advantage of is that you guys know that in the service we do several things. We don't we go to what is it we get an MOS. We're supposed to be doing one thing, but you end up doing several things. So sometimes you're qualified for many other jobs on once you get out. For example, I went in for avionics, but I end up doing several other things like safety, like EO. I mean, I end up doing several things, and that was an advantage because then I can apply. I can apply for several positions because I kind of know the basics of a lot of things, and that happens with everybody that's been in the service. That is one advantage. It's all about how to use those in the resume. But if you have questions, again, if anybody has questions about building resumes or anything like that, just shoot me a message, give me a call, and I'll see about directing you guys to the proper individual if there's one here at the VA.
Hi, I had a quick question. So at the beginning of the conference, you were talking about how you can register with the VA on the phone or in person. Do you need to make an appointment if you're to come in to the VA office directly, or can you just do like a walk-in appointment?
That's a good question. On a normal day, normal week, normal month, and this is not a normal month. You can stop by the VA whenever you want, go by benefits, and enroll. You're going to be filling up a quick registration, and they're going to put you on the system, and it usually takes 24 hours for the system to process you. But again, this is not a normal year. So if you want to stop by the VA now, you're probably not going to be able to get in. Like I was saying at the beginning, because you need to have an appointment in order to get in. I mean, an appointment for care, not an appointment with benefits. It's got to be an appointment for care. So, and if you want to register sometime this week, the only ways that you can register with the VA is going to be either online, over the phone, or you can do it with me. If it would have been like a normal week, I mean, you could have gone by the VA and do your registration in person. But since there's so many clinics that are not open yet, at least for June, therefore you're not going to be able to get in. I hope that answers your question, Kristen.
It did. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything from anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right. I want to say thank you again to Max for coming in. This is not the first time that you've come to one of our speaker sessions. Your time has always been very well spent, informative beyond belief to anybody that had any questions. So we do want to say thank you for that. We're very grateful. Also, just for everybody's knowledge, what I'll end up doing is I saw Max just shared his contact information into the chat group message. I'll also add it to the description that we put onto the YouTube as well, just so people know how to get a hold of Max directly. Thank you again, Max. Thank you for everybody else that had jumped in. I appreciate your questions and comments along the way. And if you ever have anything related to veterans at NSU, reach out to me as well.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody. It's always a pleasure to assist veterans. I just like being with veterans and assist them because I know it is confusing and hard once you get out of the service, navigating the process of what benefits you might be entitled to. I know it's confusing. Again, it took me about 6 years to set up my benefits and to put everything in place. And if it wasn't because I used to work with DOD, where I got the knowledge about what benefits I was entitled to, perhaps I would have never done it. Mm-hmm. So that's why I try to assist everybody because, again, I know how confusing it is once you get out of the service. You don't know how you're going to start with your process. But you guys have my number. You guys have my email. If there's anything that I can do for you, if you guys have any questions or anything, or you can pass it to other veterans that you might know that are on the same boat, not knowing what to do, give him my number, give him my email, and I'll be here for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you again, Max.